Hey everyone! Captain Crunch is one of those delightful, charismatic mascots used for the redundant task of selling sweet things to kids. And today we will be seeing what it would be like reimagined through Speculative. Please like, hype and subscribe to make this video healthier than cardboard. And now let's dive into the app. As much as us humans pride ourselves on eating better than the rest of the animal kingdom, the appetite and palate of animals is rarely a welcome comparison. Truth is, many animals out there have their own ways of preparing and altering their food, turning basic components found in their habitat into a tasty part of a balanced diet. What better example of this than the crunch bee? Navibellator durumelas belongs to clade Meganthophila, which contains many species of similar giant bees, this particular species being most similar to the leprechauns, having adapted to a somewhat similar solitary lifestyle. Crunch bees are semi-aquatic, and usually stay near the coastal areas of their native island, Crunchberry Island, located near the western coast of northern Africa. Their fur covering is very reduced, both to help them lose heat in this tropical environment and prevent them from being weighed down by water. Their anteriormost limbs even have paddle-like extensions that help them swim. As a result of this lifestyle, crunch bees have been known to many times embark onto galleons that lack a tripulation of their own, which is of great help in reaching new habitats. This does, however, result in them having to face off against pirate wasps and other manners of sea beasties. Crunch bees will usually be seen collecting large amounts of land and water-based plants and algae, but will not feed on them. Rather, these are used to feed a mutualistic fungus, the sea dog fungus, so called due to its constant companionship of the bees. The sea dog will digest the vegetable and algal matter to produce a nutrient-rich, butter-like substance, which the bee will feed on, in a manner similar to how ants from tribe Athene feed. Given their large size, crunch bees produce a lower amount of larvae, and will usually stay nearby to feed them as they develop and to protect them from predators. However, these larvae will not be fed with the butter the sea dog produces, but with another food source produced by the bee itself. Similar to their northern relatives, the crunch bees also produce a form of unrefined crystallized honey used as a reserve, both for itself and its larvae, whenever food is scarce. This form of honey is known as crunch, a reference to its extreme hardness, and from it the name of the bees is derived. While usually made of pollen and nectar, the bee will sometimes incorporate very nutritious berries that grow around its habitat, changing its color and flavor. Of course, as one may imagine, this very valuable resource tends to attract a lot of organisms interested in a quick meal, not exactly a rarity as far as bees are concerned. Most predators would be deterred by the sharp edges and hardness of the honey crunch, with even the bees themselves depending on special enzymes in their saliva that help them dissolve the hard substance. Some, however, are well equipped for the task. The soggy slugs are a species of nudibranch that produces highly acidic secretions, which help them dissolve the armor of the hard-bodied organisms they feed on. Before this chemical weapon, even the crunch honey stands no chance. Although white in color, soggy slugs will develop red markings all over their bodies as they age, indicating their availability for mating. The aforementioned parrot wasps, while usually incapable of cracking the hard crunch, will still grab it and escape with it nonetheless. As remarkable as this bee is, its environment has no lack of fascinating, weirdly sized creatures, as it is the habitat to a good deal of subspecies evolved from continental populations that were stuck on the island. Some species of primate, dwarf elephants and hippos, titanic birds and huge predatory amphibians make this place their home, as well as secluded populations of pygmy whales that often make their way upriver. Most confoundingly, one of the most visible features of Crunchberry Island seems to be a huge, white, non-functional mecha. While proper examination of the derelict is still pending, superficial observations regarding its size and general appearance indicate it likely belongs to either the Pan-Pacific Defense Force or NERV. How it ended up in the island despite its geological location is to be determined in future studies. And that's it for a speculative biology look into Captain Crunch, an idea put forth and commissioned by Aloe Berries. Following on our long-standing and noble tradition of giant bees, this was a nice variation on the concept, a semi-aquatic bee that sometimes rides on our already established living ships. I was also greatly surprised by the vast amount of side characters present in Captain Crunch lore, with new ones created for each new version or variant of the cereal. Like, seriously, how hard is it to sell sweet food to kids? Come on. But funnily enough, we thought these fascinating creatures fit rather well into an African-type ecosystem, with the presence of elephants and hippos and primates and all that, with the island environment itself being generously provided by the original material. Some other characters were adapted into the rest of the Crunch Bees crew, including the surprising amount of child labor employed by the ship and his dog, Sea Dog, who was incorporated as a symbiotic fungus because you know I love those. So, did you like this episode? Would you eat cereal made by bees? Let me know in the comments, as well as any other cereal mascots you'd like to see reimagined. So, big thank you to our researchers and research associates who support us through Patreon and YouTube memberships, and once again to Aloe Berries for commissioning this app. Remember, you too can join in if you want to support our channel, and you get some nice perks too, like seeing all of our creatures and videos ahead of time and helping mold them into shape. Or you can also like, subscribe, or write a comment telling me any type of creature you would like me to give the Speculative treatment in the show. Any of those really help the channel a lot. Thank you all for watching, and see you next time on the Speculative Wildlife Research Center.
No, not the bees! Not the bees!